I've shared reflections about my plants with you before. It's funny because I certainly don't consider myself a gardener. Yet, the few plants I do tend have taught me a lot. Several years ago, our household received a hand-me-down orchid. I provided it with minimal attention and insufficient light until about 2 years ago when, saddened by its yellowed leaves, I got interested in trying to restore it to health. I looked online and watched YouTube videos about orchid care. There's a lot out there. The first step was repotting the orchid. In this process, I discovered most of its roots had rotted away. I performed rotted root surgery and provided it with fresh orchid bark and a new, larger pot. Throughout 2016, I watered and fed it, hoping it would bloom. No luck. I kept tending it anyway, believing that one day blooms would come. While I continued to tend the orchid, I also did some more research. I learned that orchids like a distinct temperature difference between day and night, and that they tend to bloom when nights get cool. As 2017 wore on, I fertilized it with flower food and waited patiently for overnight temperatures to drop. Now, during the time I've been rehabilitating the orchid, I've also been engaged in work that is nearly as slow going, working as a trainer and coach for child welfare social workers and supervisors. When I got started, I noticed similarities between my ailing orchid and its injured root system and the palpable exhaustion of the folks I work with. The trauma and toxicity of a system that demands too much takes a toll on the dedicated professionals I see each week. As we approached the holiday season at the end of 2017, the seemingly endless challenges of those I serve brought about my own sense of exhaustion and an ebb of hope. In an ocean of need, how could I possibly offer enough, give enough, be enough to make a difference? When December rolled around, I despaired at being in the messy middle in which I found myself and longed for a simple, happy ending that I might find at the end of a sitcom. I felt like I would be in the messy middle forever. I found myself daydreaming about when my current project would be over. In the meantime, I also embarked on a third project, taking care of my emotional, psychological, and spiritual health. Without connecting it or realizing it, I was watering and fertilizing myself. I began the process of cutting away the habits of mind and behavior that were no longer serving me. So at the close of 2017, my perspective on my work began to shift. Although I continued to feel overwhelmed at times with all I'd like to accomplish in my field, I found I was able to define and return to my purpose and core values. To put it another way, I found my faith that what I do, even the smallest action, matters. Just like watering and feeding and tending my orchid, the work I do each day is tangible proof of my faith in the possibility of a child protection system that is more just, more humane, more inclusive. In December, as my perspective was shifting, I received another gift. After almost 2 years of care and nurturing, effort and faith, from the base of my second-hand orchid, a nascent flower spike began to protrude. It's now February, and while the spike continues to reach for the sky, I am still waiting for the blooms. Will they be white in color, variegated purples, wildly spotted and vibrantly colored? I have no idea what they will look like. When we received the plant, it was just the leaves. I've never seen this orchid in bloom. Faith in the unseen is what makes patience bearable. I am so thankful to this little plant for rewarding my long, slow, patient efforts. Thanks, orchid, for reminding me that everything has its own rhythm and timing, that some things are worth waiting for, and that faith in what cannot be seen or known is itself a form of patience with the lamp lit.